Dabi from MHA was never just some edgy fire villain. He didn't become a villain overnight. His story is quite unique and is actually tragic. He was a warning shot aimed straight at the heart of My Hero Academia. What makes Dabi so terrifying isn't just that his flames burn hotter, it's that his entire existence proves one brutal truth. Villains aren't born, they're made. Such a good quote. And the path of a villain can often be diverted. If you look at Dabi on the surface, he seems quite simple. You got the burn scars, blue fire, cold smile, cold attitude, a pure hatred towards Endeavor. But the deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more tragic it gets. Because Dabi isn't just a villain in MHA, he's the living consequence of abuse, obsession, neglect, and a hero society that loves results more than it does healing. So in this video, we're going to break down Dabi's origin, his powers, his development, the exact path that pushed Toya Todoroki into becoming Dabi, and how his story ends. And by the end of the video, you'll see why Dabi is one of the most painful characters in the entire series, and I stand by that. First, we have to understand who Toya Todoroki was before he became Dabi, so let's break it down. Before the burn scars, before the stitched skin, before the murders and the madness and the obsession over taking out Endeavor, he was just a kid who wanted one thing. Just wanted his father to see him, not just see him as in, hey dad, I'm here, but see him as acknowledge him, spend time with him, just say, hey son, I'm proud of you. That right there is the beginning of the whole tragedy. Toya was the eldest son of Enji Todoroki, the man who we know as Endeavor. And Endeavor didn't build his family out of love, he built it out of ambition. He wanted a child who could surpass All Might, because he could never do it, and that dream poisoned the entire Todoroki household. That means Toya wasn't raised in a normal family, he was raised inside an experiment. And that changes everything, because when a child feels like they only matter when they perform well, love stops feeling unconditional and starts feeling earned. Imagine that. You're a kid, you're looking for some semblance of love and guidance, and dad just wants to see how your powers stack up to be a hero. No love, no bonding, no loving environment. And Toya, he chased that love through fire. Now let's talk about his quirk, because Dabi's power tells you almost everything about his character. Dabi's flames are insane and they just look awesome. His fire burns blue, which is my favorite color. This visually separates him from Endeavor's standard red flames and makes him feel almost unnatural every time he fights. His fire is stronger and hotter, but there's a trade-off. His body isn't built to handle it. That's why using his quirk destroys him from the inside out. It literally tears him apart. He can't handle his blue flames due to inheriting his mother's resistance to ice. But he has his father's firepower. He literally has a cooling system for a power that he doesn't have. Think about how tragic that is. Think about how painful that is. His gift is also his curse. The very thing that made him special is the same thing that keeps tearing him apart. That's not just a cool battle detail. That's quite good symbolism. Dabi is literally a person who burns himself up trying to prove something. And that something is his father's acknowledgement. He just wants to hear simple words. That's why his flames matter more than just basic power scaling. They're emotional, they burn hot, and they burn bright. Every time Dabi fights, it feels like self-destruction that's aimed at a target. Here's where the story gets darker. He actually had what Endeavor wanted. That's the crazy part. It's actually ironic. Toya had fire with even greater raw potential than his father's, but his body inherited weakness towards heat, meaning his own flames damaged him badly. So instead of Toya being treated like the future, he became a failure in Endeavor's eyes once it became clear that the quirk combo wasn't stable. Imagine being a child and you realize this. You were wanted until you weren't useful enough. Then dad just tossed you to the side. That kind of wound doesn't heal easily. That kind of wound can fester. And MHA handles that pain in a brutal way, because Toya doesn't stop wanting his father's approval. He wants it even more. He keeps training, he keeps pushing, keeps trying to prove that he still matters. You have to respect his willpower to keep training and keep going. And that's what makes the downfall hit so hard. This wasn't some kid who's born evil. This was a child desperately trying to be loved correctly, The real turning point is that Toya never emotionally moved on, even when the family did. See, Endeavor shifted his obsession towards Shoto. Endeavor had his perfect son with the perfect quirk, and the household changed around that decision, but Toya didn't quite recover from it. He broke, because now the message became even crueler. It's not just, you're not enough, it was, you've been replaced, you're no longer needed. And for a child who already tied love to achievement, that is devastating. This is why Dabi works so well as a villain. His story is not built on random chaos, it's built on emotional abandonment. He starts to spiral, he becomes fixated, he just trains harder, he wants to show Endeavor that he was never a mistake. And then there's a disaster at Sikoto Park. Toya's fire rages out of control. It leads to a catastrophic incident that leads the family to believe that he's died. We know he survived later on, but the person who came back from that was no longer Toya in the way the family understood him. That's the death that matters in his story. It's not just physical death, it's identity death. The love, the obsession. Toya Todoroki burned on that mountain, and Dabi was what walked away. So why did Toya become Dabi instead of just going home? That's the heart of the discussion. Because pain alone doesn't always create a villain. Pain with no healing does. Dabi becomes what happens when grief rots in hatred. The wound just continues to grow and it continues to hurt and it just festers. He lives with the truth that he was created with ambition, discarded by failure and emotionally abandoned by the one person he just wanted approval from the most. By the time he steps fully into villainy, Dabi no longer wants acceptance, he wants revenge, he wants exposure. He wants Endeavor's image dragged through the mud for the whole world to see. He wants to ruin him completely, no remorse, no compassion. That's why his reveal works so well, and his speech is just so peak.
Keep looking towards the future and you could be a better man? What? Nothing to say? Well, allow me! The past never dies. You will reap everything you've sown! Enji Todoroki, let's fall together! Come and dance with me in hell, won't you? Well, speak up, Dad!
In episode 124, chapter 290, when Dabi finally exposes that he is Toya Todoroki, that's not just a plot twist, that's an execution. He doesn't just attack Endeavor physically, he attacks everything Endeavor is built on. Public image, hero identity, family legacy, his right to stand up as a symbol. He broadcasts the truth to every device in the country. That moment is legendary because now Dabi is weaponizing the truth. That makes him even more dangerous than just some normal villain. He's not just trying to kill heroes. He's trying to make society see, hey, this is how I was created. This is also why Dabi is one of MHA's best examples of theme through character. MHA is always asked a hidden question beneath all the flashy fights. What happens when society only celebrates strength and results but ignores emotional damage? Well, Dabi is one answer. He is what happens when the pressure to create greatness crushes a child instead. Hopes and dreams are crushed through ambition and the obsession to be number one. And that's what I love about the writing here, is that Dabi is not framed as innocent. He becomes cruel, he becomes monstrous, he hurts people, he chooses destruction. But the story also refuses to pretend that he just came out of nowhere. That balance is important, because saying, well, Dabi suffered, it's not the same as saying Dabi was right. And MHA understands that. Dabi is tragic and terrifying, sympathetic and guilty. That combination is exactly why people love his character. Now, let's really lock in on his powers and his fighting style, because Dabi doesn't fight like a normal fiery user. Dabi's flames are overwhelming, but his biggest trait isn't elegance, it's recklessness. He fights like someone who has already just accepted destruction. That makes him unpredictable. Most fighters protect their bodies so they can win. Dabi, however, he's willing to destroy his body if that means making a point. That's why his fights feel so different from Endeavor's. Endeavor's fire is controlled, refined, professional. Dabi's fire, however, feels like rage given form. And the later story pushes that even further. When Dabi draws on techniques tied to the Todoroki family, he becomes so unstable that he is literally a walking catastrophe, to the point in the final war he is actually like a living bomb. That image is perfect for him because Dabi was never trying to survive, he was trying to make his pain impossible to ignore. But here's the biggest reason Dabi's path to villainy hits harder than a lot of anime antagonists. He never really stopped being a son. That's the crazy part. Under all the hatred, all the murder, under all the flames, Dabi is still a little son, screaming at his father. He still wants that acknowledgement. He wants that love. He yearns for it. He wants that family bond. Everything he does is connected to that wound. His crimes become twisted messages. His reveal becomes a scream. His final actions become one last demand to be seen. And that makes his relationship with Shoto so important, because Shoto is the sibling who represents everything Toya lost. Shoto is the successful child, the one Endeavor kept pushing, the one who became the answer to the family's broken design, the one who replaced Toya. So when Dabi clashes with Shoto, it's not just brother versus brother, it's the rejected child versus the replacement. That's why those scenes hit emotionally. It's not only about who's stronger, it's about whether this family can actually stop destroying itself. And that brings us to Dabi's ending in MHA. His ending is brutal. And to be honest, it had to be. There was no other way it couldn't be. By the final war, Dabi, he's just so consumed by hatred and so damaged by his own quirk that he just keeps pushing himself into ruin. The Todoroki's family's coronation final with him becomes less about beating the villain and more about trying to stop a family tragedy from just being total annihilation. After the war, chapter 426 shows him alive, but he's banged up. And in brief moments where he can finally speak, the family confronts him about the wreckage of everything that's happened. And that ending matters, because MHA did not give him a clean redemption. He doesn't suddenly become a good guy. He doesn't get a soft reset, a pat on the back. He doesn't get a neat, happy ending. This isn't a fairy tale. What he gets is something sadder. Recognition that's too late. Being seen by his family, but at the wrong time. That's what makes it hurt. The family finally faces him. The truth is out there. The emotions are finally spoken freely, but look at the cost. A destroyed body beyond repair, a broken family, years of damage no apology can erase, years of emotional trauma that has came to the surface, but now it's too late. That is one of the most realistic things MHA does with Dabi. Sometimes the love you want arrives after the damage is permanent. And that's not redemption, that's just a horrible tragedy. So, was Dabi born a villain? Well, no. And that's the entire point. Dabi was born as Toya Todoroki, a child who wanted attention, a child who wanted love, a child who just wanted to matter. But what shaped him? Well, abuse, neglect, obsession, replacement, isolation, a home built on pressure instead of care, and eventually all of that pain turned into identity. That's why Dabi is one of MHA's strongest cautionary tales, because he proves that evil doesn't always begin with cruelty. Sometimes it begins with a child being taught that they only deserve love when they're useful. Villains aren't born, they're made. That line fits Dabi almost perfectly, not because it excuses him, but because it explains him. And understanding the difference is what makes his story so powerful and so good. Dabi isn't just one of MHA's coolest villains. He's one of the saddest. Blue flames, stitched skin, cold smile, hatred for Endeavor, even his war against the hero society, all of it traces back to one broken truth. Toya Todoroki was failed by his family long before Dabi ever chose to burn the world. That's why his story sticks so well with people, because deep down, he feels less like a monster that came out of nowhere and more like a human disaster that everyone saw too late. And that's what makes him so unforgettable. If you want more anime breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Now, my question to you, was Dabi beyond saving, or did the Todoroki family fail him way too late? Let me know. Thank you and have a good day, and thank you for watching this video.